Yo, what's going on, guys? Officer Ramsey here, back with another fantastic video for you guys. So in this one, we'll be doing a tier list on the current meta and what I personally think is the best and worst cards in the game. Let me know in the comments below if you guys like this kind of stuff. Drop a like if you like it, and I'll see you in the video, guys. We're gonna start off the Queen, just because Queen, you get a good base. Like, I don't know where really to put this yet before we put down the other cards, but Queen, obviously, in the needs a nerf / rework category. I don't think that's very debatable. I think Queen definitely needs a nerf or a rework. Come on, who are we fooling here? But moving on, we're gonna try to make this not last all day. So, E-Barbs, I think E-Barbs are pretty good. I don't think they need a nerf, but I think they're good. I think they're better than Mini Pekka. I think they're good. Archers, I think, are average. I don't think archers are very good. I gotta see how maybe if I'll switch stuff around at the end, but I think archers are okay. They might end up in below average. I'm not sure yet. Baby Dragon is very good. I would put, no. I would put him in good. I don't know what, this is saved for really good cards, but Baby Dragon's good. Baby Dragon's good, nothing wrong with it, nothing too special. Bandit, I think Bandit is fairly good. I don't think it's amazing. I think Bandit goes in good. Yeah, I think it's better than E-Barb, so. Barb Hut. Yeah, Barb Hut is really bad, but I don't want it to be good. So I'm gonna put pretty bad, but it should be bad. Barbs. I'm going to put Barbs at below average. I think Barbs are pretty trash, to be honest with you. No one really uses Barbs, you know. I feel like guards replace Barbs, and I don't think there's really a reason to use Barbs that much in this meta, just because there's so much fireball going around and a lot of splash overall. Barbs below average. Okay, moving on. Barb Barrel. Barb Barrel, I think, is fairly good. I think it's good. I don't think it's... This is where I'm going to put Log, I think, and I think it's worse than Log, so it goes in the good category. Bats. Bats are fairly good. Fairly good. I think Mother Witch keeps them in the good... Yeah, but bats are better than... Yeah, I would put them in good. I would put them in good. Healer, I would put in Trash Bag. I would put... I'm going to change this to say / rework. Rework. Just because I don't know if it needs a buff, more rework, make it different. But anyway, Trash Bag for sure. Barb or Battle Ram, I would put in below average. I think after the buff, you know, it's a little bit better, but I still think it's pretty bad. You see it in 3 musts now. You see it in Bridge Spam, of course. At least you see it in a few decks. But overall, I think it's pretty bad. What are Zappies? Zappies are, they're my favorite card, and they are right here. All right, and we can get Zappies out of the way and put Zappies in Zappies here, because Zappies is the greatest card to ever exist, without a doubt, undeniably. And please don't nerf them. I don't think they will, but shout out Zappies. Okay, moving on to the Dart Goblin. The Dart Goblin, I think, is better than Archers and about the same as Bats, so I would put it right in this category. I think that's fair to say it's good, especially after the buff. Bomber. I think Bomber's also fairly good. I think we're going to have a lot of good cards, but Bomber, I think, is 2 elixir, gives you a lot of value. It's the cheapest splash card if you don't count spirits. Yeah, I think it's fairly good. All right, moving on. Bomb Tower, I think, is fairly average. I think it's okay. I don't think it's great. All right, I might change where Bomb Tower is, but that's where I'll put it for right now. I gotta see where they put the other buildings. Bomb Tower is very good. No. What are we living in? What? Bomb Tower is very good. No. No. What? No. Bowler. I think Bowler is fairly okay. I think it's average. I think that's pretty undeniable. Speaking of undeniable, Pump is absolutely garbage. Terrible card. I can see it getting a rework. I really don't want it to. I mean, okay, yeah, let's put it. No, let's put it there. Let's put it there. I don't want it to be good, so let's put it there. Okay, moving on. Inferno Tower, I think, is pretty average. I think it's pretty good. I think it's better than it used to be. I think it's pretty average. You can use it in a couple of decks now. I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's unbelievably good, but I think it's pretty good. Mortar. I think Mortar is good. I don't think Mortar is very good. I almost put in the very good, but I don't think it deserves the very good category. I think it's good. Tesla, I think, is... What's the best building in the game right now? I think Tesla is very good. I think Tesla is very good because I think it's the best building in the game. Still to this day, I think it's the best building in the game. I think it's better than Inferno Tower. It's better than Bomb Tower. It's better than Cage, which is also probably very good. It's better than Mortar. It's better than everything. Moving on. Expo. I think Expo is pretty bad right now. I think... there's only a few one tricks that can be good at it. I think it's worse than... I think it's below average, to be honest with you. I think it's worse than Bomb Tower and Inferno Tower, and it's definitely worse than Mortar. I think Expo is below average. Cannon card. All right. Now, this might be an arguable one. But Cannon card, believe it or not, I've been saying it, I think, for the last 3 tier lists that I made. That Cannon card needs to be nerfed or reworked or changed. It should not have the same stats as Cannon. I'll say it till the day I die. Cannon card should not have the same stats as Cannon. It doesn't make sense to me. Just separate the stats. No one will care. No one will care, Supercell. Not only will no one care, no one will notice. It's ridiculous. Separate them. Anyway, that's what I think. Moving on. Cannon carts brethren that should not have the same stats as each other. Should be 2 completely different cards. They don't even look the same if you look at them. This is a black cannon. This is like gray. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, Cannon. I always put Cannon in pretty trash, but honestly, Cannon, now that the new Pigs deck is fairly good, I don't think Cannon is trash, but I do think Cannon is one of the more worst cards. It's definitely the worst. I would put it in below average, just because I think it's worse than Bomb Tower. I think it's worse than Inferno Tower. I think it's worse than almost every building that's not a spawner. Every building that's not a spawner, it's worse than. I don't think it's as bad as these cards, though, because now it actually is finding some love in these new decks, like the Pig Cycle deck. But to be clear, Cannon is not the problem in those Pig Cycle decks, because as soon as, let's say you nerf Cannon, well, then it's just going to be the same deck with another one of these Bomb Tower or Tesla or Goblin Cage, probably, most likely. Okay, moving on. Balloon, I think. Balloon, after the detrimental nerf, I think is way worse than it was before. I think Balloon it's not good. It's like below average. I think it's below average. That's how bad I would say Balloon is now. It is trash. It's trash. I mean, maybe I'll move this up, but I don't think it's very good. I don't think it's very good. Where would I put Balloon?
Fallon before the nerf. Just curious.
Here, in front of Cannon Cart. That's where I put it before the nerf. After the nerf, I think I'm gonna put it below average, just because it's so much worse. It's so much worse. I'm so glad they nerfed it too, and I'm so glad that it's below average. Golem, I think, is average. Okay. I think Golem's average, but I think Balloon is just as good as Golem. All right, yeah, we're gonna move the loon up to average just because I think it should be right next to the golem. I think it's just as good as golem. You can make the argument that Expo is also average, but I'm gonna keep Expo at below average. Moving on, the witch, I think it's a fairly bad card. I'm gonna put witch at below average because I don't think it belongs in either of these tiers. I don't think it needs a buff, really. I mean, it has some niche decks. I mean, maybe you can rework it, but I'm gonna put it at below average. I think it's like these cards, like Cannon, how it's not good, but I don't think you should buff it or it'd be really annoying. Anyway, moving on. Clone, I think isn't great right now. I'm gonna put Clone at pretty bad, but it just should be bad. Just because Night Witch is also pretty bad, not nearly as good as it used to be, and yeah, I think that's a respectable place to put Clone. Dark Prince, I think Dark Prince is a worse Valk. I think Dark Prince is a Valk, but for cards that you're building up big pushes, basically. So I think Dark Prince is used a lot. It's actually one of the most used cards right now. I'm going to put Dark Prince in very good, but no nerf needed. Anyway, moving on to Night Witch. Like I said before, I think Night Witch is pretty bad, but I like it being bad. I think it's just like the Witch, not great, but below average. Earthquake, I think, needs a rework. That might be controversial. It needs something done to it. I don't think that should be controversial. I think you should agree with me that the Earthquake's a bit ridiculous, that you can win the game in the Queen Pigs EQ deck just by EQ cycling and barely touching the tower with your pigs. I think definitely EQ needs something done to it. Make it do less damage on the tower, but more to buildings or something. I don't know, but it definitely shouldn't do that much to buildings for 3 elixir. E-Dragon, I think, is pretty bad of a card. I think E-Dragon could even have a buff, to be honest with you, because I think E-Dragon needs more health. Maybe make it worse in a way and more health. I just think it needs more health, but I'm just going to put it in below average just because I don't think it's as bad as these cards down here. Anyway, E-Giant I think is a fairly good card. This might be controversial, but E-Giant I think E-Giant is very good. It might be good, but I don't think it needs a nerf. I think it's in one of these two tiers, but I'm going to put it in very good because I think it's one of the best win conditions right now. Mortar is better than E-Giant right now. Accurate. Very accurate. I think we're just going to switch E-Giant and Mortar because I do think Mortar is better than E-Giant. I agree with you. E-Spirit. E-Spirit, I think, is the best spirit. Debatably, it's Fire Spirit, but I don't think that's a good debate. I think it's very good. Very good. I think it's a very good card. E-Wiz. E-Wiz, I think, is a good card. It's definitely better than Archers. Yeah, about as good as Bats and yeah. I would put it right here. E-Golem, I think, is pretty damn bad, but it should be bad. So I'm going to put it in pretty bad, should be bad, because that's exactly what I said. Executioner. I think Executioner is pretty bad. I think it's below average. I think it's right in the Witch category because they just buffed it recently, and it's not that bad, but it's not that great. Firecracker, I'll put on the same level as Dart Goblin and Bomber. I think that's a fair place to put it. I don't think many people would disagree with that. Fireball, I think, is very good, but does not need a nerf. I think Fireball, for once, is worse than a spell. I think EQ is actually better than Fireball. Prove me wrong. Goblin Hut, I think, is pretty bad. I think it's better than Barb Hut, so I'm going to put it in below average, but I think it's pretty bad. I think Furnace is just as bad. Thank the Lord. I think they're all pretty bad, and I think they all belong in this area for the rest of time. Fire Spirit, I think, is very good. Yeah, I'm even going to put Fire Spirit next to E-Spirit. I think it's in the same level. I think I was going to put it in good, but I think it needs to be in very good. Fisherman, I think Fisherman, let's try to be unbiased here. Unbiased. Fisherman is is... yeah, I love you. It's Zappy's. No, Fisherman's gotta be very good. It's gotta be. I think it's better than Barbs and Bandit, and I think it's better than all these cards. I think Fisherman's a very good card, but that might be my biases talking. Flying Machine. I think Flying Machine is fairly annoying. I'm gonna put it in good, just because I think Firecracker is just as annoying. And yeah, this is the annoying category. E-Barb's annoying, E-Giant annoying, you know what I mean? Bat's annoying. Anyway, Freeze, I think, is annoying. Again, but not going in good. I think Freeze is pretty bad. I think Freeze is a below average Cheese City card. You know, now that Balloon Freeze is not great, I think you can really only use it in Graveyard Freeze, and I don't think Graveyard Freeze is too great. I think like Giant Graveyard is better, or Splash Yard is still better. So I'd put it in below average personally. Royal Ghost, I think, is a fairly balanced card. I think it's average, right next to the Bandit. I think those two go hand in hand. I think it's just a good card. Anyway, Giant, I think, got an unnecessary nerf, and now I think it's pretty good. I think Giant is, yeah, about just as good as E-Giant. Maybe a little worse than E-Giant, but I definitely think it's better than Golem, I'll tell you that much. I thought it was better than Golem before the nerf, or before the buff. But Giant Skeleton, without a doubt, is in trash bag and needs a buff. It doesn't need a rework. It needs a buff. Buff Giant Skelly. Justice for Giant Skelly. This is ridiculous. All right. Spear Goblins. I think Spear Goblins are better than Archers. Undeniably, they do the same thing for one less elixir, but they can be logged and zapped. I think they're fairly good right now. Goblin Barrel, I think, is okay right now. I think, yeah, no, it's got to go here. It's worse than E-Giant right now. I think Goblin Barrel's okay. I think it's a pretty good card. It does what it needs to do. Goblin Cage, I think, is very good right now. I think Goblin Cage is still one of the best cards in the game. Goblin Drill, although I think Goblin Drill is good, just as good as Goblin Barrel, I would say, at this point. I don't think it needs a nerf or a buff. I think it's fairly balanced right now. I think Goblin Gang is really pretty bad right now. I think Goblin Gang could even be buffed. Goblin Gang is just worse guards in every way. I think, like, there's no debate that they're pretty bad. Like, there's no reason to use guards, or no reason to use them over guards, because guards just do so much damage and the counter push is so good. I don't think it's very good right now. Moving on, Goblin Giant is... Goblin Giant's okay. I think it's worse than Giant right now. Just because... I don't know, it's only good in Sparking decks, while Giant is good in other decks. Giant Double Prince, Giant Graveyard. That's what I would say. Goblins, I think, are also pretty bad. I think they're even worse than Goblin Gang, I would argue. Maybe not. They're just as bad. They're just as bad as Goblin Gang. Oh my... Okay. This is the biggest flip-flop of a card ever. In my last tier list that I made like a month ago, this was in need of nerf, and it was debatably in front of Queen. And now it is in trash bag. It is so bad. It is horrible. They killed... See, this is why I'm afraid to do any of the nerfs that everyone's suggesting to the Queen, because it might kill the Queen like they did to the Golden Knight. It's absolutely terrible, right? It's terrible. Like, unusable terrible. Like the Giant Skeleton, terrible. I mean, you can use it if you want, but you're not going to have a fun time. Graveyard, I think, is very good right now. I think it's very, very good. Debatably needs a nerf. But I could be wrong about the debatably needs a nerf part, but I do think it's very good. It's one of the best win conditions right now, and I might be biased, but I hate Graveyard with all of my heart, and it's an RNG card, and it shouldn't be as good as it is. Anyway, Heal Spirit I don't think is a great card right now. I think it's below average. I don't think Heal Spirit's only using like, what, 3 musts and E-Golem and... Okay, Hog Rider. I think Hog Rider is pretty good right now. It's definitely better than the Golem. So I'm gonna... Yeah, is it better than the Goblin Barrel? Yeah, I'm gonna put it up here. I think it's pretty good right now. Is it good as an E-Giant? Okay, I'll move it down to average. I think it's average right now. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's average right now. Moving on to the Hunter. I think the Hunter got a huge buff. I think it's fairly good right now. I don't think it's very good, but I think it's good. I think that's a good place to put it, and I think it's fairly balanced at the moment. Ice Golem. Now, I think Ice Golem's one of the most slept-on cards in history, but just because Valk is so disgustingly good right now, I'm going to put Ice Golem at average because it's not used very much. I could debatably put it at good, but I think it's at average. Ice Wizard. Ice Wizard, I think, is pretty bad. It's definitely below average. I think it falls among the Witch, the Executioner category. I think it's pretty bad. I really don't want it to get a nerf or a buff, though. So please do not buff the Ice Wizard. Especially don't make it not die to Fireball again. That was my favorite nerf in history. Inferno Dragon, I think, is fairly good. Debatably very good. But I think it falls in line with like Hunter and Bats. So I would put Inferno Dragon in good. Knight, I would put I'd put Knight at good. And I think the reason you don't see Knight that much is because of Valk, which we are getting to, but Valk will definitely be above the Knights. Lava Hound, I think is pretty good in the meta. I don't think it's amazing. I think it's pretty good. I'm gonna go good. Definitely better than Golem. Yeah, I'm gonna go good. I don't think it needs a nerf or anything. Lightning, I think, is fairly good. I think it's worse than Fireball, so I'm gonna put it in the good category. Magic Archer, I think, is pretty good. Yeah, I'm gonna put Magic Archer here. Because Magic Archer can be annoying like the Firecracker. I don't think it's as bad as Archers, for instance. So I'm going to put it in the good category. Mega Knights. I think Mega Knights is very good right now. I'm going to argue Mega Knight in this meta is very good right now. Yeah, I think there's so much Mega Knight Ram Rider and Mega Knight, a lot of Mega Knight all over the place, and I think you need Splash in this meta because of all the pigs that are going around, and I think Mega Knight is very good. I think it's very good. Mega Minion, I think, is also pretty damn good, but I don't think it's as good as... I don't think it's very good. I think it's just good. I think it's debatably worse than Bats and Dark Goblin, but I think it's like better than Firecracker and possibly better than Flying Machine. Miner. I think Miner, disregarding all the memes, I think Miner is okay. I think Miner is good right now. I don't think it's as bad as the average cards, but I think it's good right now. Minion Horde. Minion Horde's gotta be pretty bad. Below pretty bad. And then Minions are below average. That's what I would say. I mean, you can switch these around. You can put this lower, you can put this higher, you can put this here. But overall, I think Minions are better than Minion Horde, and I think Minion Horde... I've been seeing it... I'm going to put Minion Horde at below average. I've been seeing Minions and Minion Horde a little bit more recently. I think they're okay. I'm going to put them there. I honestly think Minion Horde is better than Barbs. So I'm going to put Minion Horde at below average. Mini Pekka, I think, is pretty good after the buff. To be honest with you, I think it goes neck and neck with E-Bars, depending on your deck. Mini Pekka, I'm going to put in good. Mirror is trash bag. I think that's inarguable. I think it's definitely the worst card in the game, and I think it could easily get a rework if they wanted to. Mother Witch, I think, is pretty bad right now. I don't think it's great, even though I use it. but I'm not going to put it in below average. I'm going to put it in average. I think it's just as good as archers. But I would love if they buffed or at least reworked the card. Please. Please. Anyway, Musk. I think Musk is fairly good after the buff. I think it's just as good as Hunter, to be honest with you. Just as good as Firecracker. Interchangeable with Firecracker and Ewiz. I would definitely say Musk is fairly good right now. Arrows. Arrows are pretty good. Not amazing. You could put it in average. You could also put it in good. I'm going to put it in average. I'm going to put arrows in average for sure. Okay, moving on. Pekka. Pekka, I think, is fairly good. Yeah, I think it's fairly good. I think it's good. Don't think it's as good as Mega Knight. I think it's fairly good, on par with like E-Giant and Giant. Poison, I think it's pretty good. I don't think Poison's that bad. I think Poison is average. I think I'm gonna move arrows up and have Poison below it, because I do think arrows is better than Poison, because there's rare circumstances where Poison is better than Fireball. Prince, I think, is fairly good. I think Prince is pretty good. I think Prince falls in line with Mini Pekka and E-Barbs. I would put Prince right in the good group. Princessa. I would put Princess in good. Also, a lot of goods. Sorry for the amount of goods, but I think it's a fairly balanced meta besides these cards and more cards. But Princess, I think, is good. I don't think it's amazing. No. I'm gonna go Princess as average, just because I think it's worse than Dark Goblin. Princess average. Princess average. We're changing it. Lumberjack, I think, since Balloon is worse, so is Lumberjack, and I think it's worse than these cards if Balloon isn't a thing. So I definitely put Lumberjack at average. Rage is really bad, but it should be bad, if you ask me. Ram Rider is really good. Ram Rider debatably needs a nerf, but I don't think it does, but I do think it's very good. I think these two cards are very good together. Rascals. Rascals are fairly good. They got a couple of buffs that made them pretty good. But I still, to this day, don't think they're that great. I think they're worse. Rascals are pretty good. I don't think I could put Rascals below Knight. To be honest with you. Rascals I'm going to put in good as well. Debatably they could be average, but I think Rascals aren't good, if you ask me. Rocket I don't think is in a great place right now. Rocket I think is pretty okay. We're going to put Rocket in average. Just because of spell cycle. I don't think it's as bad as Freeze, for instance. I think it's right on par with Poison. Delivery, I think, is really good right now. Really good. Very good. I would put Delivery at very good. I think Delivery is very good. I don't think it needs a nerf, but I think it's very good. I think it does its job very well. And, yeah, I think it's very good. Royal Giant. I'm going to try to be as least biased as possible, but I don't think Royal Giant is that good right now, to be honest with you. I don't think Royal Giant is that good of a card. Like, me personally, I see Giant on ladder way more than I see Royal Giant. I see E-Giant on ladder way more than I see Royal Giant. I think it's easier to have success with the Giant Graveyard, for instance, than Royal Giant right now. Or, I'm mainly talking not my version. Not the Skelly King version. I'm talking traditional Royal Giant. Like, traditional... Mainly the Queen version of Royal Giant. I don't think it's great right now. I mean, I think you have to be pretty skilled at Royal Giant to use that kind of deck. I'm debating... it's definitely better than Balloon, so I definitely got to put it in good. I think it's better than Golem and Balloon, but I don't think it's as good as E-Giant and Giant and Lava Hound. This debatably could be an average, but I'm going to put it in good. Pigs, without a doubt, without even thinking, needs a nerf again. Please, nerf Pigs. Why? Why'd you buff them? Why did you buff pigs? Why? Why did you buff pigs in the first place? And then you half nerf them. Fully nerf. Fully nerf. Pigs can debatably go in the Zappies tier. No, I'm joking, but Queen could. But anyway, I think the order would be like this, to be honest. One of these two. But anyway, moving on. Royal Recruits I don't think are that great. They're okay. Like, okay, so this is my argument with pigs. That pigs aren't that good besides the fast cycle pig decks. Like, but with recruits, I don't think, like, pigs recruits, I don't think is that good of a deck right now, especially after the Golden Knight nerf. So I think recruits are average. Skelly Barrel. Skelly Barrel, I would put worse than Goblin Barrel, but I don't think it goes down here. I think it's an average, but worse than Goblin Barrel and probably worse than Drill as well. Skelly Dragons, I would put at, Skelly Dragons are pretty bad. Yeah, I can't put them, I think they're just at the same level as E-Dragon. I don't think they're very good. I think debatably Skelly Dragons could be above, or no, sorry, could be in average. But I'm gonna put them at below average. Skarmy. I think Skarmy is a fairly good card. I think it's better than Goblin Gang, which I haven't said a lot in the past, but I definitely think Skarmy is better than Goblin Gang. I think Skarmy is an average card. Yeah. I think Skarmy is an average card. I would put Skarmy at average for sure. Skelly King, I think. It hurts me to say, but I tried to keep it low key for a very long time. Skelly King is disgusting. I don't want it to get a huge nerf, but I do in fact think Skelly King is better than all these cards in very good, and I think it kind of does need a slight nerf. Anyway, skeletons are kind of disgusting. They're kind of just as good as these cards, but I don't want them to get a nerf. So I think I'm going to put skeletons in very good alongside the other two spirits. Guards are gross. Guards I'm going to put in very good. Guards are just as good as skeletons, which blow my mind because guards were so bad for so long. But guards are so good. You can't kill it on their side, or it's very hard to. They do so much damage. If they counter push with guards, they take so much damage from your tower if you do nothing from it. Guards are really good. Really good. Snowball. Snowball, I would say Snowball is fairly good. I'm going to put Snowball there because I think I'm going to put Zap there. Ice Spirit, I think, is pretty bad. I think it's average. I think Ice Spirit is better than Heal Spirit. That's why I'm putting it in average. Log, I think, is a very good card. I don't think Log needs a nerf. I don't know how you could nerf Log, but I think Log is a very good card. Probably the best small spell in the game. Does 3 elixir cards count as small spells? I don't know. Anyway, 3 musts I think are a lot better now. I still don't think they're a great card, but I think they're a lot better now. I would put 3 musks in average. Alongside the balloon, I would put it in the same category. Tombstone is very good right now. Now, is Tombstone... A lot of people complain about Tombstone. Now, I don't know why there's so much complaints with Tombstone, to be honest, but that might just be because my deck is good against Tombstone. I think Tombstone is fine. I'll put Tombstone at very good because I do think Tombstone is much better than it's ever been. I think it's better than... There's no buildings in the good tier, which is interesting, but it's definitely better than Bomb Tower for sure. Definitely better than Cannon. Tornado, I think, is also very good. I don't think... Yeah, I think this is more likely to go up than down. That's what I would say about Tornado. Valk, 100 billion, million, trillion, quadrillion, quintillion % needs a nerf. It needed a nerf already. It's so broken. No one uses Knight. No one uses Ice Golem, because why would you? Because Valk is so broken, it makes no sense. It has more health than a Knight. It does more damage than a Knight. It splashes for one more elixir. It makes no sense, and it's not an insignificant amount of damage and health. It's a lot. It's a lot of damage and health. It's disgusting. It's a mini Pekka with more health that does splash, but slightly less damage. It's ridiculous. You need to nerf the Valk. It is ridiculous. Get it out of here. Please. 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 Anyway, moving on. Wall breakers, I think, are pretty good. Pretty good. I don't think they're amazing. I definitely think they're better than these cards. Wall breakers, good. Wizard, below average. Wizard, I think, is not too bad. But Wizard, I think Wizard, you know, is pretty bad. It's not this bad. If you ask me. If you ask me. Sparky, I think, is pretty bad as well. I think Sparky's average, though. I wouldn't put it in below average. I would put Sparky in average just because you still can have success with Sparky. I see more people have success with Sparky than Wizard, for instance. And last but not least, Zap. I would put Zap below Snowball, like I said before, just because I think it's worse than Snowball right now. But anyway, that's the tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed.